In the darkened vaults beneath Vatican City, guarded by centuries-old secrets, behind reinforced doors and among shelves that stretch endlessly into blackness, lies a collection of forbidden knowledge, the Vatican Secret Archives. Most have heard of them. Few know what they truly contain. The Vatican claims they're just private archives for the Pope. Letters, decrees, nothing sinister. But every once in a while, a whisper escapes, a misplaced document, a leaked page, a forbidden book. And in the 1960s, that whisper became a scream among a small group of scholars who stumbled onto something so ancient, so heretical, that even uttering its name was said to risk excommunication. A book that completely rewrites the story of Christianity. A book the Vatican has spent centuries erasing from history. It's called the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and the Church does not want you to read it. Unlike the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, handpicked and canonized by early church leaders in the 4th century, this one was deliberately excluded, buried, and later destroyed in massive bonfires during the Church's purge of heretical texts. But fragments survived, hidden in the sands of Egypt, discovered in 1896 in a crumbling codex buried beneath a Coptic monk's cell. Part of the Gospel was finally unearthed in Akhmi, yet, once discovered, it didn't make headlines. Why? Because the moment it was translated, it threatened to upend 2,000 years of church doctrine. Because in this ancient text, Mary Magdalene isn't a weeping prostitute or a minor disciple. She is the closest companion of Jesus. Not Peter, not John, Mary. The text portrays her as the one who understood his true teachings. She is described as the disciple he loved more than the rest, the one Jesus entrusted with spiritual secrets too advanced for the others. Secrets that bypass traditional structures, rituals, even sin itself. In one passage, Peter openly challenges her, accusing her of fabricating what Jesus supposedly told her in private. The other disciples become agitated. They don't understand what she says about the soul's ascent through realms of darkness, about freeing the mind from illusions. But Levi defends her, telling Peter that Jesus knew Mary better than anyone, and that the real problem was his own jealousy. Jealousy of a woman. This wasn't just a footnote, it was a direct contradiction to the male-dominated hierarchical system the Church had been building since the Council of Nicaea. The idea that Jesus could have taught esoteric knowledge to a woman and possibly loved her more than the apostles wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. It painted Mary not as a penitent sinner, but as the bearer of secret knowledge, the first true interpreter of Christ. And that wasn't all. The Gospel of Mary implies something explosive, that the resurrection wasn't meant to be understood as a literal, physical event, but as an inner awakening, a metaphysical rebirth, a transformation of the soul, and that heaven wasn't a kingdom in the sky, but something within reach, in the mind, through knowledge and personal experience. No sacraments, no confessions, no hierarchy. For the Vatican, this was theological dynamite. But here's where things get even more disturbing. The Gospel of Mary wasn't the only book buried. In 1945, near Nag Hammadi in Egypt, a shepherd discovered an entire library of ancient scrolls sealed in a clay jar. Over 50 lost texts from the early Christian era, including the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, and the Secret Book of John. Together they reveal a Christianity far different from the one taught today. One that viewed the material world as a prison, ruled by a false god, and the true path to salvation as gnosis, knowledge, introspection, enlightenment. Not obedience. These were the Gnostic Gospels, and the Vatican has never canonized a single one. In fact, for centuries, possession of these texts was considered a death sentence. Entire communities were wiped out during the Inquisition for teaching this alternative view. Libraries were burned, manuscripts were hidden in caves, buried in jars, and scattered across deserts in an attempt to preserve the forbidden truth, but because the Gnostic texts strip power away from the institutional church. They reject the idea that priests, bishops, or even popes are required to reach God. They challenge the need for intermediaries. They emphasize self-knowledge over blind faith. And they portray Mary Magdalene, not Peter, as the true successor of Jesus' teachings. Imagine what that would do to 2,000 years of structure. The Vatican couldn't allow it. So these texts were silenced, buried, labeled as heresy, and forgotten until now. In the past 2 decades, a new wave of scholars and theologians have begun decoding, translating, and publishing these forbidden texts. But access is limited. And while the Nag Hammadi texts have been published, many documents in the Vatican Apostolic Archives, over 53 miles of shelves, are still under lock and key, including rumored complete versions of the Gospel of Mary, the Book of Enoch, and the Gospel of Judas. Texts that could completely reframe our understanding of God, the soul, and history itself. Some even speculate the Vatican has ancient books never seen by the public, books predating the Canon, books from early Christian sects that believed Jesus was purely spirit, not flesh, that Mary was a spiritual equal, that the resurrection was symbolic, not literal, that hell was an invention. The Church denies this, of course, but in 2005, a Vatican scholar anonymously leaked a single sentence from an untranslated manuscript locked in the underground vaults. It read, "And she shall sit beside him, not behind. And her voice shall speak when theirs grow silent." Who is she? Who else? Mary, the woman the Church tried to erase, the voice they tried to silence, the gospel they don't want you to read. Want more hidden truths they've buried for centuries? Subscribe now. Because the secrets of the past aren't gone, they're just locked behind walls, and someone doesn't want you opening the door.